Welcome to FEEDNETICS, a decision support tool designed to simulate and compare multiple production scenarios in a virtual environment. Today, let's look at two practical examples, compare different feeds and compare temperatures profiles. Starting with the first example. Let's see how two feeds with different protein levels perform and which leads to the lowest economic conversion ratio, considering a harvest size of 700 gram. For this simulation, we set the baseline with 50 gram tilapia, 38,000 fish, 1.7% mortality per month, and a temperature range of 23 to 31 degrees. Now looking at the feeding regime, here we compare two feeds, 32% versus 35% protein. The 35% feed costs slightly more and differs mainly in protein, fat, and energy. Digestibility and nutrient profiles are kept equal for both. Feeding rates follow the Epicry table from Silva and Marchiori, 2018, suitable for Brazilian conditions. After entering all inputs, we ran both scenarios. This graph shows the average fish weight predicted by FEEDNETICS for the two feeds. The 35% protein feed reaches the 700 gram harvest about 4 days earlier than the 32% feed. Since the difference is small, both feeds show very similar and good growth performance. However, the goal of this application was not just to look at growth, but to assess the most economical feed. At the end of the production cycle, this is what matters to fish farmers. Looking at the production performance table, both feeds show similar growth, but the 35% protein feed has a lower FCR. However, because it's slightly more expensive, the economic conversion rate tells a different story. The 32% feed is actually the most economical, saving around $40 per ton of fish produced. Of course, these results depend on the specific farming and temperature conditions used in this example. So this raises the question, what if we change the temperature profile? That's exactly what we explore in the next application. Considering a different temperature profile, will we see the same trends? For this second scenario, we keep the same farming conditions and feeding regime as before for both feeds. The only change is the temperature profile, now using a lower temperature curve to see how it affects performance. Under the lower temperature profile, growth slows, but the difference between feeds stays the same, around 4 days. Both diets perform similarly in growth, but the 32% feed is still the most economical, saving about $40 per ton. Comparing the two diets, the 35% feed improves FCR, but the 32% feed is more economical. Biological performance is similar, making the 32% protein diet the better cost option. Each farm's conditions can change these results, so individual evaluation is key. Using FEEDNETICS, you can compare feeds, test temperature scenarios, refine your feeding strategy, and reduce production costs. If you'd like support applying it to your farm or research, you can contact our team at FEEDNETICS at sparrows.pt.